Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. My name is Eric. We got the latest Manchester United news. Obviously, we're dealing with the fallout after yesterday's Derby's loss against Manchester City. A lot of news coming out about Ruben Amorim, his future. Players apparently losing faith in Ruben Amorim, his system as well, the formation and stuff like that. I don't know, you want to call it leaks from the players, leaks from the clubs. We're going to get into all that stuff. So there's a lot to talk about today. Even quotes from a lot of our legends and ex-players. Paul Scholes has been talking. Rooney has been talking as well. So we're going to get into all this stuff. We're going to break it down. We're going to digest it. And we're going to have a good discussion like we always do. Please make sure you smash the like button because it helps the channel grow. It gets the content pushed out there. So biggest thing you could do is hit that like button. Get involved in the chat as well. If you're new, make sure you subscribe if you enjoy the content. And hit that notification bell icon so you get the notification when we go live. And you don't miss any part of the show or conversation. But also, if you're watching the show after it's aired, get involved in the comments down below and we'll talk there as well. Also, we got a Discord. If you want to join the Discord, it is in the link of the bio. There's the link in the bio of the channel, so go in there, join the Discord. Discord is popping and it is a good place to be, so make sure you get in there. But let's start off with this. Yesterday, obviously, we did our Red Devil recap after the match. We talked quite a bit about what this really means and where do we go from here, and what happens with United and what happens with Ruben, and how it seems like it's heading in the direction of the end is coming sooner rather than later. And this quote came out after we were live, and Ruben Amorim said in his presser, he said a couple things, but this was the big one where he said, "I am not going to change. When I want to change my philosophy, I will change. If not, you have to change the man." Pretty much basically telling everybody that he is not going to change his formation. He is not going to change his system. To all the people out there that want him to change his formation and system, I've said this multiple times. It's not going to happen. I don't know what fantasy world you're living in that you think that this man is going to change his system and formation. He's said it, I don't know, about 150 times since he's been here that he will not do it. And listen, I understand. I get it. I get the people that are arguing for a change of system or a change of formation, especially at this point, because his way hasn't been successful. But I will say, basically, I mean, I've said it already, but basically what he said, I mean, I say the same thing. I'd rather him go down with the ship sinking than see him try and play a 4-3-3, because he doesn't play it, and I don't think it'll fix anything, and I don't think things will improve, because it's just not something that he does. It's not part of his way of being a manager. So, essentially, this has divided the fan base into two parts. People that are still willing to give Ruben some more time to figure it out, and the people that demand a change of a system or a change of a formation essentially have been put into the corner of, you got to be Ruben out. Because to get your change of system, to get your change of formation, the only way you're going to get that is by the manager being changed. And he stated that himself. He said that multiple times, but it's quite clear and obvious. The only way you're going to get your change of system and your change of a formation and a different formation is we're going to need a new manager. And I agree with that sentiment because, like I just said, I don't think it would do really any good. And I've always argued, when a manager starts doing things that is not his way, that is not his style, it is the end of that manager. We've seen it happen at this football club a few times before. When they start playing different formations and different types of football that they don't usually play because they're worried about points or they're worried about their job, it has always ended in them getting sacked. So, it makes sense that I don't want to really see him do that. It's either he's going to figure it out in his own way, and get the job done, or he's going to fail. And he is failing right now, but I don't think I think he still has a few more matches, and I think Ineos, based off of the stuff that we got out today from the club or players, agents, or whoever, the media has been essentially briefed by somebody. Um, well, Amorim hasn't been sacked. Box is here. Shout out Box. Amorim hasn't been sacked. The reason why it's titled The Way Out is because there's a piece of news that has come out that apparently there is a president that, or not a president, there is a man running for president for Benfica. Obviously, Ruben used to be a Benfica player. He is a Benfica fan, and he was a sporting manager as well. And apparently this man that is running for president of Benfica was at the match yesterday. And you know what? I'll get the update so I don't misquote any piece of the reported news. So right here, it was Chris Wheeler has reported that Ruben Amorim could be offered an escape from Manchester United after the leading candidate to become Benfica's next president turned up at the Etihad to watch Sunday's derby. João Nornania Lopez, we'll just call him João Lopez because it's way easier, has made no secret of his plans to take Amorim back to Benfica if he usurps Rui Costa in next month's election, and is currently ahead in the polls. So, again, I got a little bit, not really inside knowledge, but my friend is a Benfica fan. The Benfica fans, they really want Ruben. They take Ruben in a heartbeat. I hear many United fans now screaming, please send him there. But Benfica want him. Benfica are looking at him. And this guy that is in the lead, that's running against Rui Costa to become the next president, has publicly made it known on a couple other times, other than going to the match yesterday, that he would like to appoint Ruben Amorim as manager of Benfica. So essentially, it's being reported that, if this does happen, which it seems like so far right now, he will become the president of Benfica, that this man, once he does assume charge, he will maybe, possibly, most likely, offer Ruben Amorim some type of offer to come to Benfica, which would be basically a way out for him in terms of whether he leaves on his own accord or he gets sacked. He might, he could end up at Benfica. So, I don't think Ruben will walk. I don't think he'll walk. I think he's made statements in the past where it sounds like he wants to walk. It sounds like he's going to walk. I don't think he'll actually walk. He's a bit too stubborn to do that. I think he has a little bit too much pride, and I don't think he'll walk. Plus, there's also the money aspect. If you want to get into the financials as well, I think he stands to make 10 to 20 million, or something like that. I don't know the exact number, but Fox says Amorim must be on thin ice now. Well, we're gonna get to that because there's a lot of briefs. There's been a lot of updates about the hierarchy and how they feel, and the players and how they're feeling as well. So we're gonna get to that, and we're gonna make the determination on how much of thin ice he actually is. And Bach says we need some response ASAP. Well, he needs it. He needs it. If you're in Ruben's corner still and you're rooting for the guy and you're backing it, he needs a major response, and he needs it quick in the next couple matches, because the narrative is only going to get worse if we lose and we don't manage to win. I mean, the record's not looking that nice right now, and we got to play Chelsea, which is a big match, and we got a couple other big matches as well. The next 5 matches are going to be quite decently large. So Box also says the Benfica fans know Amorim's previous success in Premier Liga would be great for them. Well, yeah, they know that. They love Ruben still because he's a former player. They're very loyal in that way. They don't really care that he went to Sporting and he won them 2 trophies. It's kind of a little bit similar to United. Once a red, always a red, in that sort of sense. It goes with Benfica, and they want him because they'll take him any day of the week, especially because I think they, of the past success, like you said. But Yeah, I mean, let's get into these other updates because there's been quite a lot of big stuff that has come out, and I knew this was going to happen. So, this is why I said we would do a show in the aftermath because it's typical of United. We have a bad loss. Things aren't looking good. You know the news is going to come out. You know things are going to come out the next day. So very early in the day, Samuel Luckhurst was one of the first people to sort of start this snowball of information about Ruben Amorim, the hierarchy, and the players. And more has come out after. But Samuel Luckhurst earlier in the day um, came out with a piece of information saying Ruben Amorim retains the support of the Manchester United hierarchy. A source close to Amorim admits it is incredible that his position is not under genuine threat. So, I mean, I've made a couple thoughts and opinions on this. I've always said that, I feel like Ineos are very, very reluctant. They want this desperately to work. I think they are in a position where they've spent a lot of money. They've made some moves. And I think for them personally and their idea and their thoughts, like their plans for the club, I think they want to try and keep as much time as possible or give him as much time as possible because they desperately need this to work. They've spent a lot of money. It's still early in the season. I think they feel a bit of onus on themselves in terms of that of what happened last season and the situation that was in. And I don't think they fully blame Ruben. I think they're giving him a lot of leeway. And I always said, and I said it about a month ago, or I said it about, about a month ago. I was like, I could see a possibility where there's a situation where things aren't going great for Ruben and the team, and fans start to turn on him, or he starts to lose more support than he had, and we get to this point where he's lost a majority of the fans, but Ineos refused to sack him. Ineos refused to pull the trigger at a certain point, and then it's kind of a standoff between the hierarchy and the fans. And we're not there yet because it's bubbling right now. It's bubbling. I don't think it's shifted that. I think many United fans are upset with sort of the results and the performances, and understandably. But I think if he was to go and win the next 2-3 matches, I think the narrative would probably flip a little bit back into his favor. I think right now it's a little bit not in his favor. Talk Sport also came out with a piece saying that no, not that piece. That's regurgitated. Fabrizio Romano reported that Ruben Amorim is convinced the problem is the mentality of his team and not the system. So Ruben calling out the players, pretty much. And you know what? Listen, it's been a conversation that we've had in the past. We've talked about the mentality. We've talked about how these players aren't strong enough. I've mentioned in many, many shows when we talk about player recruitment and we talk about players that we go to buy for this football club, that you have to make sure that not only are you getting the person that fits the position best and has the ability and has potential, but also that they have to have the correct character, they have to have a good attitude, and they have to have a strong mentality. It takes a special type of character to be able to survive at this football club, and especially at this moment in time when we are not good. The pressure is much more. The patience is much less. The criticism is much harsher. There's a lot more eyes. It's easier to get eaten up at this football club. Um, but I don't think that update's gonna sit well with a lot of people because there's many of United fans that believe that the system will not work, cannot work, is not going to work, and that for him to survive, he needs to change it. But he's not going to change it, is he? So we're stuck at a crossroads at this football club, and I'm a bit worried because it's not It's not. I'm not worried for Ruben's sake. I'm worried for the club's season. I'm worried. This is not a position that you want the football club to be in already 4 matches into the season. It is not. It's a very negative spot. The manager is under fire. Fans are losing their patience. People are angry. There's fractures being drawn inside of the club between the manager and the players, apparently the manager and the fans. Then there's the hierarchy that's backing the manager, and that's going to lead to the fans going against the hierarchy as well. um and yeah, I mean, basically any positivity that we had from the summer transfer window and how we we're feeling has all been evaporated immediately. And we seem to be back in this position once again. We're back in the same merry-go-round position that we've been talking about. We're now information about how players are feeling is going to the media, and it's about how they feel about the manager, about the system he plays, about how they feel uncomfortable. We're gonna get into that because I'm gonna read the full updates. But yeah, it's like deja vu 4.0 all over again. And I don't know when this is going to stop. When is it going to stop? It needs to stop. It needs to stop. We keep doing the same thing over and over again. We keep getting into the same situation over and over again, and it's literally the definition of insanity. So I don't know how we break this cycle, this curse, whatever you want to call it, but we got to break it. Fox says, I think giving Amorim more time would be fine if we aren't continuing to snowball down the table with an average of 1 point per game. Well, I think that's the plan, Box, from Ineos. I think that's the plan, but you can only give him so much time, like you're saying, unless we continue to snowball down the table. So this is, I think there's a lot of things on the line at the current moment. And if we go to Chelsea and we lose, it's only going to snowball a little bit more. And then you really, really, really got to make sure you get a couple wins in between that Liverpool match, because that Liverpool match is going to be big and it's going to be very difficult. And we're clearly, obviously, not the favorites for that match, and it's going to be a very, very difficult match. We got to go play at Anfield as well. And we got to step up in that match as well. So we need to build a little bit of confidence back into the team, because clearly now they're lacking it from the other day, from the past results. So Fox says probably both sides are true. Problems with system and mentality. Yeah, I mean, that's usually what it is, Box. Usually, I would go for the more balanced approach. I don't think a lot of things can be so one-sided always. It's definitely, listen, we've had a mentality issue at this football club for 12 years and 4 managers, okay, or 5 managers, whoever it is. We've had a mentality issue. We've had a leadership issue. We've had a personnel issue. We've also had issues with the managers and their way of playing, or their philosophy, or their system, and it not being cohesive with the players and the manager and how they want to play and what the players give on the pitch. And we still have this issue, clearly, because we're struggling. We're struggling to go forward. We're struggling to make some concrete progress in this football club right now. So, one of the other things, I mean, there's been a lot of things, so let's get through a couple of them. Get involved in the chat. Voice your opinions, voice your thoughts. Everybody has a voice here. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. Even if you disagree with something I'm saying, go ahead and say it. That's the point of the channel. Conversation. Jump in the chat. One of the things that was reported, this is by Rob Dorset. He works for Sky, saying Ruben Amorim and the United hierarchy feel they are losing out on the fine margins right now. Basically, they're saying that we're not that bad. It's not as bad as people are making it out to be. We're losing by slim margins. This is what is coming out of the football club. This is what's coming out of Manchester United. He also had a follow-up to that saying patience. in quotations, is the key word within Manchester United. Ruben Amorim won't change his style, and United have no plan or desire to change the head coach. However, all sides accept the current woes cannot continue long term, which is basically what we're saying. I think everybody knows this. Um, it's literally just common sense. I mean, but me and Box literally just talked about how, you know, I don't think losing to City is not going to get him sacked. I think even a loss to Chelsea is not going to get him sacked. It's the smaller teams. It's the teams that we should be able to beat. Um, you know, those are the things that are going to be the deciding factors. But obviously, like Bach said, it can't continue to snowball. We can't continue to snowball down the table with an average of 1 point per game, because and that's the long term thing, because it's just untenable. It's not possible. So there was another update. Sean Connolly saying, despite the growing discontent among a fractured Manchester United fan base, Ruben Amorim and Ineos officials believe they have been unfortunate in key moments this season. A confidence is in progression continues to outweigh the frustration. A couple other more updates. Mike Keegan saying Ruben Amorim retains the backing of the board, who remain of the view that he is the man to turn the club's fortunes around. This view is that progress is being made. The impact of injuries to key players such as Matheus Cunha and Mason Mount has also been noted. Listen, I don't know if this is I think it's a lot of PR coming out by the club. They're trying to spin this story. They're trying to make it less negative. I don't think it's really helping, because I think when fans are angry and fans are upset, I don't really think they want to read things like this. I don't think it really makes them think otherwise. I don't think it makes them feel otherwise. I actually think it flies in the face of the fans. I actually think it angers the fan base much more, because these are not the things that the fans are feeling. These are not the things that the fans are saying. And these are not the things that the fans agree with. So I think it actually causes more disruption. But this is clearly briefs coming out from the football club through the media, because I mean, it's good that they're coming out and they're voicing their stance, in that they're not letting the media run wild with the fact of like putting it up in the air. They're making it clear that they're backing Ruben. They're still behind him. Whether you like that or not, I think it's a good thing that at least they set the sort of narrative straight from the hierarchy, because there's many times in the past when United, the media used to run rampant with the stories and write their own story and write their own ending to the story. So it's good that they're getting out in front and saying, listen, we're still behind this man. Make no mistake about it. We're still behind this guy. We're still backing him. So don't be writing stories that he's going to get sacked tomorrow or something, because it's not going to happen. But when they add the extra stuff, like, the view is that progress is being made, the impact of injuries to key players such as Cunha and Mason Mount has also been noted. I mean, you can't really use that as an excuse, can you? Can you really use that as an excuse? Even if you love Ruben, even if you want to back him, even if you want to give him, can you use the injuries of Matheus Cunha and Mason Mount? We lost them in the Burnley match that we won, and we played one match against Manchester City without them, and we lost 3-0. And yes, Matheus Cunha is a big player, and I think we missed his fieriness yesterday in the match. And maybe you could even say Mason Mount as well, but I say Cunha is the bigger one. But I don't think having Cunha would have stopped us from conceding 3 yesterday. I don't think having Cunha there specifically would have stopped us being sloppy, not at the races, getting dismantled, getting exposed. It's one player. Maybe Cunha would have helped to score a goal or two. Maybe that would have changed a little bit of the tide of the match and the feeling during the match. Maybe, and maybe not. And I would go on to argue as well. I always say this is a team sport. This is, if you lose a player or two, and your team falls apart, then we don't got a team. I've said this many times. I said it about Bruno Fernandes when people attack Bruno Fernandes and they say he's the problem. And it's like, because if Bruno doesn't play good, then the team is shit. And I'm like, well, then that just means that we have a shit team. We just have a shit team. You cannot have, you don't have a real team if you lose a player or two and your entire team falls apart. It's you know, it's not something, it's not a realistic thing for football. Let me get back to the chat. I'm going to be jumping back and forth because there's a lot of things we need to cover, but I also want to get your guys' thoughts and opinions. So, Box says Arsenal plus Fulham felt like slim margins, but the last two games felt a lot more frantic and shaky. Burnley was a last-minute pen winner. City was a 3-0, but could have been more, to be honest. Listen, it could have been 5 yesterday. It could have been 5. Maybe it should have been 5. I mean, when we fell apart in the second half. We got absolutely exposed. We got dismantled. We got rattled. We were rattled on the pitch. We absolutely collapsed. But you're right, Box. I agree. I mean, the Arsenal match, it did, and even the Fulham one, it did feel a little bit more like slim margins. I think you can make that argument for those matches. But Burnley, and yesterday, I agree as well. It was a bit more shaky. We lost more control. And, you know, Burnley, we got a little bit of the football luck that I feel like our club has been missing for quite a long time, that it usually goes against us. But, you know, we got a last-minute pen winner. But the one yesterday, you know, when you play these bigger teams, that's the difference between playing Burnley and playing the City. Burnley, maybe you could sneak away a win, and you could get that last-minute pen and get 3 points, and we're home. You go play City at the Etihad, and we're away, and look what happened. You know what I mean? Steph's here. Shout out, Steph. How you doing, Steph? Says, big up Eric and fellow sufferers. Yeah. You know, it makes it better if we suffer together. At least we're not alone. Ooh, Lucky is here as well. Excuse me. Lucky is here as well. Lucky says breaking. Mazawari has said players we're not good enough defense regardless what system we play. Yep, we're gonna get into all this. I got all the news. I got everything that has come out, and we're gonna go one by one. Which we're already doing. And Lucky says breaking. Ineos are with the manager. Yep, we're doing all that. We got it. Johnny Hill says, I find it crazy that Ineos can back this manager. I wish I could do such a shit job in my workplace and get unlimited backing from the owners. Laugh my ass off. Well, I mean, I get the point. And I'm not here to disagree with you. I'm just playing a little bit of devil's advocate. Pun intended, I guess, or pun not intended, whatever. But I mean, I get the sentiment, Johnny. I get what you're saying, and you know, it does make sense. But I like I just said before, I do hold that Ineos are desperate for this to work. They don't want to sack this manager. They're gonna try and give him as much time as possible. I don't know how much time you can possibly get continuing the way we're continuing, where we can't win 2 matches back to back, and he has a 25% win rate. I feel like there's not a lot of rope, but I feel they are desperate for this to work. I don't think they want to kind of have a repeat of last season where we're going to sack the manager in the middle of the season and we're going to have to get a new one. And then obviously they're going to have to figure out, you know, what you do. Do you get a caretaker for the rest of the season? Because maybe the guy they want isn't available. Maybe he won't. Maybe he's at another club right now, and maybe he won't leave in the middle of the season. Maybe they don't want to do that again and go get another manager in the middle of the season, because it didn't go well last season. But I think as of right now, I know it's bad, and I get it. And anybody that is Ruben out or is upset or is done, I get that. I'm not trying to convince you into not being that way. I'm not trying to do any of that. All I'm saying is that we are 4 matches into the season. There's football left to be played. And I think at the moment, they can still hold out and be like, we're going to give him more time because it's so early. But the way it's heading, I think there's nobody under the illusion, unless you're living in a fantasy world, that it's heading in the place where it's going to come to an end. So things have to change, and they have to change quick, and he has to find answers, and he also has to make some changes. Again, I will say this, he's not going to change that system in terms of the formation and the way it plays. But I said yesterday, I said at the very least, if you're going to give me something, if you're going to give me something that shows an indication that you are willing to be at least slightly flexible with some stuff, you don't have to change the formation. But that midfield with Bruno in it is not going to work. So do something about it. Put him as the 10 and figure out what you do with Cunha and Embuemo. If one of them doesn't start, whether and maybe even Bruno doesn't start, but one of those three, if one of them doesn't start, one of them doesn't start. If you keep Bruno there, I think he's sacking himself. I think it's one of those things. It's very Ali-esque with Maguire. It's very Ten Hag-ish with Rashford and Anthony, where they were stubborn. The players weren't performing. The way the decisions they were making weren't working, but they stuck with it, kept going with it, and it led to their sacking. You know, making Maguire captain and keep on playing Maguire and refusing to drop Maguire, refusing to even sub off Maguire, was part of the reason why Ali got sacked. And the same thing with Ten Hag, constantly picking Rashford and constantly picking Anthony and not giving other players chances when they're not performing on the pitch was a major reason as to why they got sacked. It aided in their sacking. So we're in this another situation now with Ruben and Bruno, because yesterday Bruno should have been subbed off. He should have been subbed off. If his name isn't Bruno Fernandes and he doesn't have the captain's armband, that player gets subbed off. And he didn't get subbed off. And he's never been subbed off. And you can't have that in a squad that's going to be successful. If he's not playing good, if he's not doing his job, if it's not his game, you got to take him out. Go back down the years if you're old enough, which I assume most of you are, because that's our demographic, is around my age. You know, Ronaldo used to get taken off. There wasn't a lot of games where Ronaldo struggled, but I remember clearly there used to be a couple games here and there, once in a blue moon. It wasn't Ronaldo's match. He was frustrated. He didn't score. He didn't play good. Ronaldo didn't stay on the pitch. Ronaldo got subbed, and he was pissed about it. But he got subbed because it wasn't his match. And we have loads of players like that and loads of examples like that in our football club in the past. It's something that has to happen. It's something that needs to be done. And if Ruben doesn't do it, ultimately he's going to get the sack because of it, because that midfield's not going to work. That midfield is not going to produce what we needed to produce. It is a non-functionable midfield. Steph says oh wait. Oh, never mind. Fox says none of our center mids are good or strong enough to play in a midfield two. We needed three. Well, if we needed three, then we need a new manager. This is what I'm trying to say. This is the argument. If we need a three, and if that's the case, then we're gonna have to get a new manager, because he ain't gonna play a three. It's not gonna happen. And so I give the opinion where I'm trying to give solutions for him based on, you know, reality in terms of what's realistic. And I know he's not going to play at three, but one of the things that he can do is not play Bruno there and play Maino or play Casan Ugarte. I don't know, you know, it won't. Casan Ugarte might not work well either, but Maino and Ugarte, Maino and Casemiro, or Casemiro and Ugarte is better than Bruno and whoever else you're going to put in there. Because Bruno just doesn't work there. He doesn't work there. So it's something you can try. It might still not be good enough, but I think at this point it's better than what we're doing right now. So I would rather try to do something that's better than just, you know, stick with what we're doing, because it's not going to work and it's going to go down. Johnny Hill says, I'm also done with Bruno too, to be honest. I can't believe a captain chose to blame 19-year-old Euro for the first goal. We know it was Bruno's fault. But even if it wasn't, captains don't blame the young players. Well, give me a second. Can you explain? Can you? Can you explain? Because I didn't see that, or I don't know exactly what you're talking about. What do you mean he? What do you mean he blamed Euro? Like on the pitch, he blamed Euro. Did he say something after? Because I'm not aware that he blamed Euro for the first goal. But what I will talk about the first goal is that I said this yesterday. He's the captain. There's Foden is running into the box. He should have picked him up, 110%. But forget that he's even the captain. Forget that he's even the captain. As a United player, as a player wearing a Manchester United kit, representing the football club on the pitch against Manchester City in a derby, I don't care who the fuck it is. I don't care if it's the goalkeeper. You see that guy making a run and you see nobody pick him up. Every player should have the instinct to go and pick that guy up. Every player should have the instinct that it is my responsibility. I need to step up. I need to go do this. Nobody has tracked him. Nobody has picked him up. There should have been 2 or 3 players to have the instinct to go to that guy. And I don't care who got to him. There should have been an instinct that I have a responsibility. I have a duty to go and pick this guy up because he's unmarked and they're in our box and nobody moved. And obviously, we'll get into the finer margins and say, Bruno's responsibility. But I'm just saying in general, there's a player on the pitch there. You should have the responsibility. You should have the urge to be like, even if you're on the pitch and Bruno thinks it's Euro's responsibility, you're the captain, you're also a United player, you go fucking do it. You go do it and correct it after the play is done and you make sure that the danger is gone. But nobody did it. Nobody moved. Nobody accepted responsibility. Nobody had a thought in their head that I got to step up and do this in this moment. And they scored from it. Um, Fox says everyone should be blamed for a goal, young or old, captain or no captain. No, everybody needs to share their responsibility. 100%. 100% doesn't matter who you are. That's the point of no players bigger than the club, and also building a team dynamic and aspect. You win together, you lose together. You share all the responsibility. You're supposed to be a unit, so. Fox says Shaw and Dorgu were at fault too. Yeah, I mean, see, it's really easy to just single out certain players and be like, oh, it's their fault for the goals. But I always try to look at it as a team, in a team aspect. And I just blame the team. I mean, we conceded 3 goals. We didn't score and we got exposed. And the goals that we conceded, I can blame, we could probably blame multiple players on 3 different goals. So it's just much simpler and much easier. Let's just blame the entire team for it, for not being up to par, for not being on point, for not doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. Maybe it started in the midfield. The midfield made an error, then it went to the defense, and then maybe the goalkeeper on 1 or 2 of them. The second one where Haaland chipped Bender, I still stand by. I don't blame him for the whole thing. I'm not saying it's all his fault, but there was a moment where Donnarumma had a same thing. Donnarumma being a top quality goalkeeper and experienced, he made himself big. He didn't go all the way to ground. He went to ground to block the ground, but he went on his knee. So he had the height and he had the low block and he saved it. And Bender went straight to ground and he got chipped. And I think if you have somebody like Donnarumma, I think he probably saves that shot. That Haaland scored. So, but yeah, defending mentality was poor yesterday, says Lucky. I mean, I think the whole mentality for the whole squad, not just defending, I think the whole thing was poor. I think it has to be poor. If you're going to lose 3-0, I think the mentality in the whole squad has to be poor. It wasn't up to the standards to compete and win. Box's defense has looked very shaky. It has, and I think because the defense has a problem. I think the defense is. See, we're singling in on the defense right now. I think the defense is stuck in the middle. The defense is stuck on an island right now. The midfield is not doing the midfield's job. The midfield is not operating properly. The midfield is supposed to offer an extra layer of protection and safety for the back line. The back line is your last line of defense before you get to the goalkeeper. The midfield is not doing its job. The midfield is getting exposed. The midfield is getting dismantled. So I think the defensive line is already worried because they don't trust that midfield. And then behind them, we have another issue with the goalkeeping situation because they didn't trust Onana, and rightfully so, because we've seen what Onana does. They don't trust Binder because Binder doesn't instill confidence. He's shaky as well. So I think the defense is suffering and a lack of confidence because they got to worry about behind them and they're worrying about in front of them. And they're not doing their job properly because they're worrying about too much shit. There's not a good enough structure in there. So, it's these things, these sort of little things, all over the pitch. It trickles down into the team. I could probably even go as far as to say we can go up to the front line. Be like, well, but the front line struggles to score, or we give possession away quite easily because we can't make a 5-10 yard pass and we hold the ball for 2.2 seconds and give it back to the opposition and wait another 5 minutes to get the ball. You're putting more pressure on a dysfunctional midfield. The midfield crumbles and it goes on the defense. So Johnny says, perhaps, but I think everything that happened on that first goal was a result from Bruno not tracking his runner. It was a multiple number of things, but Bruno not tracking the runner is one of them. Yeah, I mean, but there was probably 4 or 5 other things that happened sequentially that led to that goal. That people didn't do their job or they made a mistake and nobody rectified it. And that's why we got scored on yesterday. And that's why they scored a goal out of that. Box says, but we lost about 17 matches last season playing Casemiro, Ugarte, Menu. We can't afford to play a midfield too. Well, I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying, Box, but I'm just saying it ain't going to happen. I mean, look at the quote. I mean, he's said this like 20 times. So he's got to find a solution for his own system. And unless he does that, then, I guess it's over then, if that's the case. Because if we can't play a midfield 2, well, he's going to play a midfield 2. And if he can't figure out how to make that midfield 2 work with what he's got, then it's over. It's over. It's over. Fox says we need 2 world-class mids to play with a center mid 2. We have none, so play 3. I get it, but I'm just saying it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? We're talking about something that it's not going to happen. He's not going to do it. He's not going to play a 3. Because to play a 3, he needs to change his formation, and he's not going to change the formation. So the situation on the table is he finds a solution to his midfield 2 problem somehow, some way. He makes it work. I don't know how. I don't got the answer to it. I'm not a tactician and I'm not a manager. And I agree more so with Box. But what the options are in reality with him as the manager and the way his stance is, he's not going to play a 3. So his only solution is you work some magic and make that 2 work somehow. And that's probably highly unlikely, and it's probably not going to happen, and it's probably going to be another thing that's going to lead to his sacking, along with that whole thing of Bruno playing in the 6, because I don't think he's going to move him, even though that's probably one of the first things I would do right now. If you're not going to switch to a 3, you move Bruno out of there. And maybe give yourself a shot. Maybe give yourself a bigger of an opportunity, Johnny Hill says in the post-match, he got asked about the tactics and stuff. He started talking about the first goal happened. He said that he went to press Rodri, which he didn't, and said the center back should have covered or picked up Foden. Well, you know what? I mean, he's got to take more responsibility for that, and maybe he may listen. Maybe I'm not trying to make excuses for the guy, but maybe with the play unfolded on the pitch, I'm sure. Well, I would hope when you go and watch that back as a player, I think if he has anything about him, he would go and he would realize that no, actually, I fucked up. I should have tracked. That was my guy. It was my responsibility because we can see it from a 360 view. He's on the pitch, so maybe he didn't see it correctly. I don't know if he watched the back before, but I would try and give him the benefit of the doubt. I hope I wouldn't want the captain of the football club to be doing things like that. You don't call out the young player like that, even if he did fuck up. You go out there, you take the responsibility, dude. You're the experienced player. You're the older one. You're the one that's been here longer. You don't throw the young guy under the bus. You say, yeah, you know what? No, we should have done better as a team. You don't single him out. So, I mean, I'll go check that back at some point because I didn't really see it. I read a bunch of the quotes. I didn't really watch the videos. I usually do, but I just didn't get to it. So, um, shout out to all the new people in here, by the way. Please smash the like button and get involved in the chat as well. If you're new, jump in here. We want to hear from you. Everybody has a say, and you guys are allowed to talk. Don't be shy. And if you want to challenge me on something, you can. Let's have that discussion. Box says, also the wingbacks are a big problem. To play with two wingbacks, you need players of the ilk of Hakimi, Mendes, etc. We have none. Yeah, but we got to develop that at some point. I mean, we know what we have, and we knew we weren't going to get everything in one shot. So, listen, let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. I think this is a better way to put it because Box, I understand what you're saying, but to have people like Hakimi and Mendes, I think you're talking about the level of us basically, being in the conversation of challenging for the Prem and doing quite well and being in Champions League and stuff like that. But for where we are and what we're doing right now and what we have, we should be able to do much better with what we have. We should not be in the position that we're doing. This team should be able to be at least around 6th, at least somewhere around there, 6th, 7th, 8th. They should be able to be in and around there. They shouldn't be so far off of the top 4. They shouldn't be that far away. The gap shouldn't be that big. We shouldn't. This group of players shouldn't be a team, on paper at least, that they're sitting around 10th or below. For what we have, I understand what we have, and I understand that we're not going to be hitting those highs like that. But we should be able to get more out of these players. We should be able to perform better. I think for sure this team should be able to be somewhere around 6th, for sure. And I'm not talking about finishing 6th. I'm just talking about hanging around in that area at 6th and battling it out. I think we should be able to do that. So, Lucky says, why was Haaland Dorgu not tackles? I don't know. Steph says, Lemins, Maz, Delit, Yoro, Dorgu, Ugarte, Meno, Cass, and Buemo, Sesko, Bruno should have been our players in formation yesterday. I agree with that. And what I get what you guys are saying, and I get the opinions. I get it. But I just think it's a bit right now, it's a bit of like a waste of time to keep hammering this home because he's not gonna play that stuff. He's not gonna play Ugarte, Meno, Cass in the mid. He's not gonna play Mbuemo, Zesco, and Bruno. Delit your Dorgu. Oz Delit your. Yeah, I mean, like he's not gonna play it. I mean, I get what you're saying. It makes sense. Like I get that lineup. I think for the Bruno thing and the Bruno problem that we have, I think it's probably the most logical. The thing is that he's just not going to do it. You know what I mean? He's not going to do it. Box says Dorgu's delivery and creativity is abysmal. It's why City let Dorgu have the ball all game. They never felt threatened. Well, we know that this is a thing. I mean, we've been saying this for quite some time. Again, I like his mentality in terms of he has an attacking mentality. He likes to get in the forward positions. I think he does well dribbling and he gets to some key areas, but like Box says, his delivery is abysmal and his creativity in terms of when he gets in the corner and he's on the side of the box near the corner flag, even his creativity from that standpoint is a bit flat. It's not good enough. It needs more. We need more. But this is one of the other problems. I mean, Dorgu is a young guy. He hasn't even been here for a full season because we got him in January. I mean, in normal circumstances, we need to stick through that guy, stick with him, have him grow his ability. You know what I mean? Like, I have no problem with Dorgu right now because he's a young guy and he needs to be able to continue to become better and work on those things. And I think at 20 years old and his raw talent that he has now, I think he can, but it's going to take some more time. I don't have a problem necessarily with Dorgu right now. I think he's somebody that is considered a work in progress. And I think he was always going to be a work in progress. We got him from Italy. So Steph says 10 likes. Box says Maz, Delo, Dorgu, all not good enough to play wingbacks. Better as fullbacks. Now, I don't like Maz as a wingback. I think Delo can do it, but Delo has issues with form. Because sometimes he plays wingback very well, and then he plays wingback not so well. But I would just keep saying I would put Diallo as wingback because I think Diallo actually does quite a good job as a wingback. For a winger, for an attacker, he does quite well. He can actually tackle as well. He's not an elite tackler, but I think he's better than fucking Trent Alexander-Arnold. And then he should be able to create because he's an attacking winger. And then we got to sort out the left side. And I would probably stick with Dorgu because I think Dorgu needs more work. He needs more work. He needs more game time. He needs to play better. But I think there's something in there that he's just got to get the crossing. He's got to get the crossing right. I don't think that's that difficult to be able to get the guy to learn how to cross the ball better. Fox says Biender's keeping is terrible. He came far too wide, left Haaland about 80% of the goal free to shoot the score. And I noticed, this is why I've been saying he's not the guy. He's not the guy. He's never going to be the guy. I said this months ago. He's not the guy. He's not the guy. He can't be the guy. He's just not it. He's not it. So I don't know. Ruben has some things that he's got to do. I mean, I think take a shot on Lemons. I don't know how good he's going to be. I hope he's good enough because I think then the club has seriously kind of fucked the situation in terms of at that point, if you're telling me Lemons needs fucking 6 months to get his feet under him and we're going to have to stick with Biender as one, then I don't know what we were doing because then they should have just went and got Emi Martinez because it's one thing to have a mixture of youth and build the team for the future, but also then you kind of handicap this manager because you know the pressure is on him. You know that last season didn't go well. And you know what? If you had an experienced goalkeeper, we wouldn't have to be going through some of these things that we needed. And he could probably make the argument for I wouldn't have to be going through these things if I had an experienced striker because now I have to kind of baby Sesko a little bit because you got to listen, you got to worry about things like this. Sesko's a young guy. Again, he had no service yesterday. He hasn't scored his first goal for Manchester United yet. It hasn't looked that great. He's coming from the Bundesliga. He's got to adjust to a new league. He's got to adjust to the team. And you also then have to protect the player a little bit as well because you can destroy him real easily if he plays 10 matches and he's shit in all of them, or he doesn't do well, or doesn't have an impact. And people are going to jump on his back like they did to Rasmus Højlund, and they're going to start fucking singling him out. and you're going to destroy his confidence. And that's for any other player as well, but specifically in that position. Um, Whereas I think if he got his Ollie Watkins or whoever he wanted, I think they would have been starting immediately as soon as we got them. I don't think he would have taken this approach that he's sort of taken with Sesko, where he played him in one match and then he's bringing him on as a sub and he's trying to kind of ease him into it and stuff like that. So, I don't know. We'll see. Chad says, and the midfield must connect the back to the front. Yes, and that's another thing. I mean, and that's where the dysfunction is coming in. Um, it's the engine, and the engine is dysfunctional right now. The engine is not operating correctly. The car is not running good. Our car is not running good. Why? Because the check engine light is on, and there are multiple issues in the check engine light. Um, and right now, we're deciding to just be like, ignore the light and just keep driving the fucking car. Like the car is gonna survive and not break down. Instead of taking it to the mechanic and tuning it up, um, and sort of fixing some of the issues so that the car doesn't break down. The car keeps running and that we can keep driving the car. But yeah, Fox says the back three didn't look like they knew who should mark Haaland, so in the end, none of them did. No, none of them did. I mean, the whole team, again, the whole team. The back three, the goalkeeper, the midfield, the front three, the whole team. The whole team. Nobody did what they were supposed to do. I mean, I could literally take that sentence box and you say the back three didn't look like they knew who should mark. Well, the front three didn't know what they were supposed to do with the ball. The front three didn't know where they were supposed to send the ball, what they were supposed to do with the ball. And the midfield was just not there. Nobody was saying these things before City. Most headlines gave us a shot. Well, I mean, they're gonna jump on top of this situation. But Chad, these things, it's all about circumstances, right? It's like a cause and effect type of thing. I mean, we had the same thing last season when we went to the Europa League final. There was two different outcomes that caused two different timelines, essentially. You win that Europa League, and you get into the Champions League, it's a different story. You lose it, it's a different story. We go yesterday, it's looking a little shaky. We go to City, and it wasn't even. Listen, one of the things is, and I've seen a lot of people coming out trying to defend like Ruben's position in a certain sense, and saying that he lost to Arsenal and Manchester City. They're going to be fighting in the top four. It's not going to get him sacked, and I do agree with that. But it's not about the fact that he necessarily lost to Manchester City. It was in the manner in which we lost the match. It's not that we got the L, even though, yeah, that does cause some problems and issues. This isn't because we lost a match. It's because of how we lost the match. It's because of what we saw the team given in a performance in a type of match like that. That's why this is bigger, and more people are angry and more people are frustrated, because if we fought nail and tooth, if we gave it a performance a little bit similar to Arsenal, where it was tighter, where we fought to the very end, but we just couldn't come out with it, people would be disappointed and people would be angry. But I don't think they would be this angry, and I don't think they would be so overly, like freaking out about it. And it's because what we saw yesterday was not what we saw against Arsenal, and it was not what we saw against Fulham. That was total capitulation and being exposed. And how are you going to survive a Premier League season if you play like that? It's not going to happen. So, well, the chat skipped on me again. So, oh, you guys have been, what the hell? Yeah, I'm very far behind, so I'm just going to skip a bunch. Foxes and Ineos have done poorly. We required a ready-made left back, left wing back, and we got Dorgu on top of Leon and Amos, who were already signed. We need a goalkeeper all year. Signed one on deadline day. Signed tens, and we needed a centre mid. Well, I think what's happening, Box, is that our vision, and when I say our vision, I mean the fans' vision and what the fans want, is not aligning with what Ineos have as planned and what Ineos see and what Ineos are trying to do. Clearly, because when you make statements like that, right? Because we want to see the team do well now. But Ineos are clearly the way they're going about things. Everything is about like this future. Everything is about like the next 3 years or 4 years or whatever it is. So everything that they're doing in terms of buying personnel, I mean, if you do it in that way, you're not going to be ready now. So we're gonna be in a period where we struggle, where it's gonna be shit, where it's not gonna be great. Obviously, you have to keep it to some sort of balance. It can't be an ultimate disaster where it seems like it could very well head to. But yeah, like we understand, like, hey, like we needed a ready-made left back and right back, because if you don't get us that, well, we're gonna struggle. And then also there's the fallout of that, because you're taking, ultimately they're taking a gamble, because we're not in Europe. Um and we've only done that, I think, like twice in the past, I don't know how many years. And we're going into this season with this sort of team where we don't have like maybe a ready-made left back, like you're saying, or ready-made striker, or ready-made goalkeeper. And essentially you're taking a gamble, because if that doesn't work well, well, there's a good possibility we end up not in Europe again and we lose more money. And in that case, we're going to fall further behind. We're going to have less to spend. We're going to be less attractive. And how does that go into your 3-year sort of plan that you have? I don't think it works very well. So they're taking a massive gamble. Whereas where we, the fans, see the issues, we notice things like, hey, actually what we should be doing is kind of getting some ready-made people in certain positions so that actually we can compete and put ourselves in a better position, and then we can just build from there, instead of essentially taking this massive gamble on all these like younger, not ready-made players and try and build it from there, because we're so far behind. But yeah, I mean, we have signed a lot of like not so ready younger players. And again, I keep going back to this. I think this is why Ruben was asking for players like Emi Martinez, and he was asking for Ollie Watkins. He wanted these experienced players. Because listen, you can disagree with Ruben all you want with his system. You can call him a donkey because he plays his 3-4-3 or 3-4-2-1, and you think it's a stupid system and you think it's a dumb idea and you don't like the football he plays. That's fine. But I will say this: he's not a dumb person. He's not dumb. He's very, very well of the situation, and I think he was very well aware last season was a disaster. I think it hurt him personally. He made that very clear. He made it very clear how embarrassed he was by the way last season went. And I think he was under no illusion that I need to step it up this season. I'm going to lose my job. We're going to fail. And I think his solution to that was, hey, I have no problem with, having youth and having some younger players. But I think he was basically telling Ineos, help me the fuck out. Help me out. Help me out. Get me a guy that can score goals, that I don't have to baby, that I don't have to develop. We need to score. Get me Ollie Watkins. He knows the league. He scores goals. Get me Watkins. Get me Emi Martinez. He knows the league. He's a good goalkeeper. He's experienced. We don't have to worry about him making shit mistakes every other week. We don't have to worry about... I won't have to worry about... I'm getting a kid from Belgium that's playing against Belgium level teams. Is he ready for the Prem? Is he going to be good enough? He's a young guy. You put him in. What happens if he has 3 shit games? His confidence gets shut to the floor. And now you're dealing with that. So there's a couple situations that's going on in here. You know what I mean? But I think Ruben was very well aware, and I think Ruben's idea was, I need as much help as possible. So I will take some of these younger players, but I would like some more experienced players that know the league. There should be less transition. There should be less stuff going on. But Ineos went down the route of getting these younger players for the future, for the future. And it's good and bad. It's good and bad because I've always said that the club cannot necessarily just buy every single player solely on the whim of Ruben Amorim. But I think what they did do was sort of a mistake, going so young and going so unready. And I don't think we necessarily have the balance that the squad actually needs at this current moment in time to compete right now and to be decently good right now. I think they went a little bit too unproven. They went a little bit too young. And it's a problem because I don't think it works. We can't make the same mistakes of the past. We can't just go to Ruben and be like, all right, give us the list of everybody you want and buy them all. And then if it doesn't work with Ruben, we sack him. And what happens? We end up in the same situation we were with the past 4 managers, where we bought, you know, all these players specifically for that manager. They get sacked, and now we have to rebuild from the beginning. We can't keep doing that anymore. So I do agree that they have to look out for the future of the club, and they have to plan accordingly with getting players in that are usable for the future of the club past a Ruben Amorim or past the current manager. But I think what they did was they fucked up in that they didn't balance it well enough. They didn't balance it well enough. And I think it's a little bit too unexperienced. And for the circumstances that we have now with our manager, and being in the position he's in and what we just went through last season, I don't think it helps him. I think it's tied his hands behind his back a little bit. They set him out to sail. They set him adrift on a you know, a piece of wood. They set him adrift on the piece of wood from the Titanic. Essentially. So yeah. But back to you guys, and then we're gonna jump back into some of the updates. Eric, no service because the wingbacks are inadequate. Well, but I think put Diallo. Put Diallo. He could play there. I think he can provide service. He's attacking. Put that. I don't know. The left side, you got to figure it out. But I mean, yeah, it is true though, because the wingbacks do need to provide service. Nobody can cross the ball. Nobody can put in a proper cross, which is absolutely mind blowing. That we have professionals, footballers. You've been doing this all your life, your entire life, since you were like 3 years old. You get paid 150,000 to 250,000 a week, and you can't put a ball in the air, even remotely close to your teammate. Remotely close. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Why are we a team that cannot cross the ball playing in the English Premier League? It doesn't make sense. And another thing, and I know this is nothing because now I'm going off on a tangent, but I will advise all of you, the next match we play, which is against Chelsea, right? When we're watching the match, it's small, but I'm very anal about it, and it pisses me the fuck off because we've been doing it forever. And I think it's a small thing, but I think it has a greater meaning to it. Watch our match very closely when we're playing Chelsea, right? When we have a throw-in, watch it, the whole match. When we get throw-ins, nobody fucking moves. Everybody stands around there. Nobody checks in, nobody checks out to offer support for the thrower. Nobody. We do it every single match. We've done it for years now. I don't understand how that's something acceptable. I don't get it. Because it's not acceptable at a fucking Sunday League level. It's not. I don't understand how that's something that I watch other teams, they move in and out. They start making runs for the throw-in guy. We don't move. Nobody moves. There's one guy. One guy comes to the guy with the ball, and he's marked. And nobody else moves. And you know what happens 50% of the time? We throw the ball in, we lose possession off of our throw-in. I don't understand how that's a thing. What? I'm telling you, specifically look for that. When we go and watch Chelsea, watch them on the throw-in. Nobody moves. Nobody opens up. Nobody tries to create some sort of space. Nothing. And that's just something, that's one small thing out of, 150 other things. But Chad says we need leadership. Well, we don't have that. We don't have leadership. We don't have togetherness. But we haven't had that for years. We haven't had that through multiple managers. So I don't know what the issue is, because I find it hard to believe you can have 4 or 5 managers and not have leadership. So I don't know what's going on inside of the football club. If maybe that's something it's coming from the top. Um, maybe it has to do with the Glazers, and I guess now Ineos, with them being involved. So Maguire's slower than my Wi-Fi. Yeah, I mean, listen, he got fucking exposed yesterday for that. And I've been giving him a lot of praise because he's been good, but I mean, he was not ready. He was not ready. I was actually quite surprised because he's usually lately he's been coming on and he's actually shown a bit of leadership. He's actually shown a little bit of responsibility, and taking some onus on the pitch to do some things. But by yesterday, he looked like Maguire under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, all over again. So Ray's here, says hi everyone. I've been saying we have Bruno's problem for over a year. Yeah, but it's a different problem than to what you're saying. The problem we have now is this is self-created by the football club. This is self-created by Ruben, and Ineos, because they created this issue. This issue wasn't really an issue. Now it's an issue of, well, we bought 210s. What do you do with Bruno? I don't know who hatched this plan that we're gonna get 210s and make Bruno into a makeshift 6. I don't know if it was Ruben. I don't know if it was Ruben and Jason Wilcox and whoever else. I don't know if it was a committee thing. I don't know if Ruben, it's solely his idea, but whoever thought of it, they've monumentally got it wrong. They've monumentally fucked it. Okay, because you've created an issue. Well, what do you do now? Because I like Mbuemo and I like Cunha. I think they're 2 very good players, and I think they're going to be very important for us, and I think they're going to do good for us. But now you have Bruno Fernandes, and what do you do with that? Because he's the captain. He can't get dropped. He can't even get subbed off if he does play like shit. So what are we doing? What are we doing? I think it's quite hard to not play Cunha and Mbuemo, because they've looked very good since they've come in. And I think they need more time playing with each other and more time being in the team. So I wouldn't drop Mbuemo and Cunha. I like how they look in that aspect. But Bruno cannot stay in that 6. And now everybody will say, well, drop Bruno. And that's fine. Nobody's saying not to do that, but I'm saying let's operate in reality in terms of what we know the manager is and isn't going to do, because we know our manager, and he's not going to drop him. He's not going to drop him because he can't even sub him out. So he's not going to drop him. So what do we do? What does he do? That's why it just seems like that's it. Just, it's going to sink and just sail off into the sunset. The boat disappears and it ends up sinking. And you go down with the ship. That's what it seems like is happening. So, Bruno fans got some self-checking to do. I wouldn't say that. Listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion. If they're friends of Bruno, they're friends of Bruno. We don't need to be attacking. Just because we're friends of Bruno, doesn't lead to the club's demise. There's so many other factors. We don't need to have a go at each other about if you like a player or not. It doesn't have, ultimately at the end of the day, it has no bearing on what's happening at the club. If United could have sold him, they chose not to. Some people argue it's because the fans like him. Listen, if you're a proper football club, you fucking do what's best for the football club, not because the fans love Bruno Fernandes. You know what I mean? So, Box is not sure how Mbuemo and Casemiro missed open goals. Well, that's another thing. I mean, we've had this problem. We managed to score 3 against Burnley, but we didn't score against Arsenal, and they're the top defensive team. And we were home. We struggled to score against Fulham as well. And and we couldn't score against City. So all these things play a factor. I mean, I said multiple times. I said if we don't score goals, we ain't gonna win shit. So it's another thing, another problem that he's got to figure out if he's gonna survive. Most people will say "But he's not gonna survive. I'm not gonna argue that. I'm just laying out what's in front of us. Gray said if Delo played, we would have won 3-0. Maybe. But you got to tell Box that because Box doesn't rate Delo at all. Grace. But good to see you, Grace. Lucky says we need to learn regardless formations. Amad Diallo can take wingback. I think Amad Diallo should be playing wingback. We have too many 10s. We have an issue with, like I just talked about, Cunha and Buemo, Bruno. There's Mount, there's fucking Xerxes. There's too many 10s. The wingback position is one where, like Box is saying, I don't think we have the eliteness of it, per se. And I think Diallo adds the dynamic that we actually need from the wingback. He's not that defensive, but he can do a job going forward. He is creative enough, and I think he could do it. So I think he should be there. He should be in there. Well, on because the chat's going crazy right now, and I don't want to skip. It's skipping a lot. So, and what about creating Mr. Lucky? You what saying Mano, Cam, and Bruno 8 last season? I was talking to Lucky. Andresito is here. Says what we saw yesterday was that what we saw in the Europa final: lack of game management and tactics and quality for sure. Big up everyone here. Well, shout out to you, Andresito. Hope you're doing good. And yeah. I mean, listen, he got it absolutely wrong yesterday. He got it absolutely wrong. We talked about this yesterday. He had the opportunity to put Bruno where Bruno should go, and he refused to do so. He stuck with his thing. I give him props for putting Ugarte in because I think if you put Bruno next to Cass, I think we probably would have lost 6-0 because I think would have got absolutely run out. But the tactics were wrong. The instructions were wrong. He left it a little bit too late. So a lot's on him. The players as well. I mean, just everybody. The whole fucking thing. The whole thing was wrong. Absolutely wrong. I don't know what's going on. Ray says last season we were told to wait till the new season, and the new season is worse. We played 5 games. The first game was okay. After that, we're going down to shit. Well, you got to get the results, man. You got to get the performances. So I don't know. His problem. It's not my problem. It's his problem. He's got to figure that shit out. I don't know. I mean, listen, we played City. We have the hardest start in the league. We knew this was coming. But my thing is, my thing is, listen, again, if we lost to City, we lose to City. But not in the manner that we lost to City. Not in the way we actually lost to them the other day. Right? Yesterday. You don't lose like that. You don't lose like that. I can take a loss when I see that my team battled their fucking hearts out and you lose a game of football. Okay? Like, side note, when I was in Malta, the town my father is from is called Nadol. Now it's a local football. They had a cup match, yeah, against another team. It's basically like the Community Shield in a sort of way. It's in the start of the season, and I went to go watch the match. I've never actually been to one of these, so I said, let me go. Our team, compared to the team we played, their team is way above us in terms of they spent way more money. They have a higher quality. And our team is sort of in a rebuild. They got a new president and all this stuff. Our team took this team to extra time and lost in extra time. They gave their fucking hearts on that pitch. Nobody there, not a single person was actually disappointed in terms of against the players. Obviously, they're disappointed because we lost, like they were upset. But nobody left the match and was like angry at the team. because they fucking battled all the way, and they came back twice to tie it. They were down twice. They gave their heart, and everybody could see it. And this is what I'm saying. Like, yesterday, I didn't see that shit from the team. And this is why people are pissed. And this is why people are angry. And this is why people are freaking out and people are going over the top. Because it's not that we lost. It's not necessarily we lost the match. It's how we lost it. It's what we did on the pitch. It's how we performed is what's got people freaking out. So, experience 15th last season, that's criminal. 9th is the same crime. Well, you got to go up. I wouldn't take 9th, but what I'm saying is you got to be in and around 6th. This team should be in and around 6th and fighting there and hanging out and chilling, you know, and battling for spots in and around 6th. They should be able to get up there. They should be able to do the job. I think top 4 is a hard ask. But in and around 6 for sure. No doubt about it. So, let me just skip down because I don't want to skip over. But Andrew Morgan says, remember that Sporting use young players. They do, but the problem is it's two different situations. And I get that. But the situation is quite different. He's not going to get... Sporting had nothing. Sporting had absolutely nothing when he walked in there. I mean, the Sporting, and just in circumstances, besides that it's in the Portuguese league, right? Forget that. They had nothing. The Sporting Football Club was on the floor when he walked in there. They literally had the fans go into the dressing room of the players and literally fist fight their own players. And the players fist fighted the fans. They got a new president shortly after that, and Ruben walked into the job. They didn't win a trophy, and they didn't win a league, like, I don't think ever. So, the situation he walked into, Sporting had nothing to lose, because they didn't have anything before that. Manchester, the situation he walked into United is completely different. So, the circumstances are different. He's not going to get the time, as we're seeing right now. He's not going to get the time to be using these young players and develop them. And he knows that. That's why he asked for the experienced players. That's why he wanted Watkins. That's why he wanted Martinez. Because he knows. He knew that. Ray says we are the only team that we didn't get a bounce back from the manager. Yeah, but we've talked about this. You're not going to get a bounce back when you do what we did. You don't get a bounce back when you do what we did, because it's so completely opposite of whatever we had, that you made so many changes and things were so different that there was never going to be a bounce back. Now, if he gets sacked and he gets somebody that plays with a similar, I guess, philosophy, maybe they play a 4-3-3, but they have a similar philosophy, like pressing, and some high intensity and stuff like that, some similarities to him, then maybe you get a bounce back out of it now, because that's normal transition. If you have sort of a set identity and set sort of play in the football club, and you want to continue with it, the next guy that you get, it's going to be similar. So there's not going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be changes, but it's not going to be massive the way we did it. With us, what they did, you're never going to get a bounce back. If Liverpool sacked Arne Slot and they went and they got a guy that plays the total opposite of Arne Slot, there's not going to be a bounce back. If Manchester City sack Pep and they get somebody that plays the total opposite of the way Pep plays and the way Manchester City's been playing, they're not going to get a bounce back. You're not going to get a bounce back when you completely get somebody that plays the total opposite of what you've been doing and what you're playing. So that was never going to happen. It could happen now if they follow the path. I don't know what their plan is, and it depends what happens from here. So, but we got to see. Rajat's here. Shout out Rajat. Box says Austin Villa Emery struggling. Well, yeah. Martinez and Mas double pivot. Well, we need Martinez to get fit first to do that. He's not back yet, so we need to We need to wait for him to come back, and then Maz needs to pick up his fitness if he's going to play in the double pivot, because he clearly was not match sharp yesterday. I mean, he was not. He was clearly lacking match sharpness. Because he was sloppy. He was sloppy, and he was not on point. The dog has to stop barking. I know you guys could hear that because I could hear it in my headphone. I don't know what the dog is barking at, but like, relax, bro. Relax. I apologize. I apologize for the dog barking in the background. I don't know who he's barking at, but he's freaking out right now. Axe, I don't know what you. We are stacked with him, bruh. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you were trying to say there. Lucky says, Rajat says, but they doing what they did with Hoyland. With who? Oh, like not giving him the ball, you mean? Yeah, I mean, yeah, lack of service. They don't know how to play with the striker, and they don't have the ability to give the striker service, which is an issue. How are you going to score goals if you can't give our striker service? This is why I always said as well that I didn't have a problem with Rasmus staying. I actually didn't want Rasmus to go. I always wanted another striker because we needed two strikers when we bought Rasmus. The season we bought Rasmus, we needed the striker. We needed another one with him. So I had no problem with him staying. Because I was like, while he was playing horrible, there was so many games that what you want him to do. He's not CR7. He ain't Messi. He's not going to take on 3 players by himself and score a golazo. It's not going to happen. Strikers don't need to do that shit. They need service. And there was a lot of games where he didn't get service. And now, so far, what we've seen in Cesco, been a lot of lack of service so far. No team has ever won the English title while playing a 3 at the back. Yes, they did. Antonio Conte, Chelsea. So you're wrong, Axe. You're wrong. Antonio Conte at Chelsea literally won the Premier League playing a 3-back. So yeah. Andresito says he seems to fuel player power when it comes to Bruno. Yes, and this is what we're talking about. You can't do that. I said this many times. Andresito, it's very Ali-esque with Maguire. It's very Ten Hag-ish with Rashford and Anthony. It's the same shit. I mean, if he's not playing good, if it's not his game, you gotta take him out, man. You gotta take him out. You also gotta be able to drop him if he, if it's like 5-6 matches in a row and he's putting in 4s. He should be able to be dropped, whether he's the captain or not. I mean, what kind of standard are you setting for the team dynamic if he's undroppable no matter what he does? I mean, it's on the equivalent of if Bruno picked up the ball and deliberately scored 3 own goals on purpose, and then you're like, yeah, but he's our captain and he's Bruno Fernandes, so I'm going to start him next season. I'm also going to keep him in the same match so he keeps scoring on goals. It's you can't have that dynamic. It creates, because what happens is you also create a bad thing for the players. I mean, because then there's players in there and they're like, well, I get dropped because I do this, but he's been shit in the bed for I don't know how many matches. And he never gets in trouble. He never gets reprimanded. He never gets dropped. He doesn't have to lose his place. I make one fucking mistake, and I don't get to play now. Maybe somebody like Kobe Mainoo feels like that, where he's like, dude, I've been working hard. I'm trying my fucking best. I'm showing up every day. And now I'm losing a big part of my role. And Bruno can go and put in a performance like that. If that was me, you'd fucking yank me out of the team, and you wouldn't play me for 3 matches. But because it's Bruno, he's the captain's armband. He gets to stay on the pitch for 90 minutes, and he's going to start again and play another 90 minutes. You know what I mean? It creates an unbalance in the team, which is why you can't do these things. You can't do these things. No manager can do these things. You can have your favorites, but at some point there's got to be a line, and you got to be fair, man. You got to be fair to the squad. You got to be fair to the players. He has a 38% win rate. Well, he has a 25% win rate in the Premier League, so Baz says the best system for our team is a 4-3-3. Manager won't change the system, so sack him. Let's move on. Well, that is where we're at, Baz. Pretty much. That's pretty much where we're at. And I don't think. Listen, I don't think we got to lose our shit about it. I think you guys should. I mean, I'm not going to really tell you how to be, but personally, for me, I'm just chilling, man. I'm just chilling because it one way or another it will happen. You know, either he figures it out, which doesn't seem very likely he's going to do, so he will get sacked. And he's not going to change the system. So if he doesn't change the system and the correct answer is we need to play a 4-3-3, well, then he will get sacked because it's not going to work. You know what I mean? So I'm just chilling. I'm just chilling because either way, something's going to happen. Either he figures it out and we can move on, and maybe we actually start playing and performing, or it doesn't happen and he's going to get sacked and then it's going to be something else. You know what I mean? And then you move on from there. So, oh, there's a, wait, oh no. Apologize if I missed some chats. I can't read everything because you guys are chatting a lot and I'm missing a lot of, it's skipping a lot of me today, so I don't know what's going on. But Mood Check is here as well. He's new. Shout out Mood Check. I think it's a he. I'm just assuming. Mood Check says, oh, hold on. Mood Check says, formation system need a bit of change, but only minor tweaks with the proper CM, CDM. What we have right now could work just fine. And maybe so. Maybe so, Mood Check. The thing is, it's the thing that I would say is, because I'm not against Ruben. I'm not saying Ruben out. I'm just laying out what the reality is. The thing is that he needs it. It's not good enough to say it could work, because the way we're going, it has to work, and he's running out of time to make it work. Because like we have a big next 5 matches, 2 big matches, Chelsea and Liverpool, and then some, and the other teams in between are quite tough. We have to play Brighton as well. It's not, these are not easy matches. If he loses all 5 matches in the next 5 matches, if he loses every single one, it's over. It's over. You know what I mean? It's done. It's done. The Liverpool one will be the nail in the coffin, because it'll be like Mourinho, 2.0 all over again. 4 losses in a row. We go to Liverpool. You get smashed up. It's done. So it could, in theory, you could be right. A bit of change, minor tweaks, proper CM, CDM, that's fine. But where is he? He's not going to get the proper CM, CDM. The window's closed. We had that chance. And he needs, and if he is to get that, he needs to find a solution to make sure that he's here when we get to January. Maybe we don't even know if January is a thing in terms of buying a midfielder, and so therefore beyond January he'd have to figure out how he's going to make it to last to the next summer so he could actually get that player. So I just don't know how that's going to work. Moodcheck says Sesko had poor service from Dorgu, even in Buemo, Ahmad, and Maz yesterday. What's he supposed to do? Well, that's what I'm saying. He did have poor service, but I would like to point out to all the people that shit all over Rasmus Højlund and basically wanted to put him on a catapult and fling him out of Manchester, and literally sent vile hate towards him, which there was many people, and there was many people that blamed him for specifically for us not scoring. And I always stated, I know he's playing like shit, but there's so many games he didn't have service. And you think that if we just get another striker, the service is going to fucking appear. Maybe you should score some more goals, but we still need to sort out the part where how our striker doesn't get service. And you're right, Moodcheck. What is he supposed to do? I said the same thing for Rasmus. There was so many games. What do you want him to do? He's not Ronaldo. He's not Messi. He's not going to take the ball and dribble past 3 or 4 players and bang a goal from 35, 40 yards out. He's not fucking Lamine Yamal. It's not happening. Now, I want to see. I actually don't want to see the same energy, but I just want to see the people because we're going to be watching this with Sesko, and so far it's going in the same direction. Sesko is a fucking ghost on the pitch because where's the service? The crosses are shit. The decision making in the final third is shit. It's horrible. It's really bad. You're killing chances. You're killing opportunities that we do so well. When we do well to play out of the back and go up the pitch, we do so well. We get to the final third. We destroy the opportunity that we just created for ourselves. Mood check says. Mood check going in here. Bruno not tracking his man on Foden against City and Smith Rowe against Fulham cost us both games. Amorim's stubbornness to stick Bruno at a deep line playmaker will probably cost him. I agree. I've been saying this, and I think many United fans are saying this because I think it's literally quite obvious. You know, we're not rocket scientists. You don't got to be a genius. I said it before. Maybe you win in mood check. It's very Ole Gunnar Solskjaer Maguire-esque. And it's very Ten Hag and Rashford and Anthony-esque. With sticking with these players and forcing it through and it not working played a big role in them losing their jobs. And now it's the same situation with Bruno Fernandes. If he continues to leave him in this deep line playmaker role, there's no chance. No chance. Because it's never gonna work. It doesn't work. We've seen him play there a lot. The thing is, there was 1 or 2, 3, 4 times maybe that it looked good. He played well and it worked. But on a consistent week in, week out basis, consistently, it has been more bad than good. Therefore, it doesn't work. It's not good enough. So to continue with that, it's just going to lead to the bad results that we've been seeing because nothing is happening. Mood says, how many times are we going to fire managers? I don't know, man. I don't know. Until I don't know. I don't know how many times, man. I'm sick and tired of the merry-go-round. I'm sick and tired of this. Why are we in the same position constantly? It's driving me mentally insane, to be quite honest. It really is. It's driving me mentally insane that it's like there's the day right now with Ruben, there's the deja vu of literally Ten Hag, and then it's Ollie, and then it's Mourinho, and it's just like, how do we end up literally in the same spot? There's literally no difference, and we've tried to change so many things, and things have changed, and somehow we're still coming to the same point and period. I don't know. I hope we're able to get a guy at one point and that we don't have to sack him and things go well. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know. X says, bad game. We had a good attitude, but the enthusiasm has run off, as you can see. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Listen, you could tell from the beginning of the game. The fact that they kicked the ball off and Haaland almost scored the goal in the 18 seconds, something is fucking wrong. Something is wrong. The fact that he literally almost scored a goal 18 seconds into the match, we never switched on. We were never ready for that match. We were never ready for that match. And that's a huge problem. You can't that can't be a thing, man. It can't. It can't. I think the players tried their hardest against Arsenal. I think that too, and saw that it doesn't work. So now they're throwing him under the bus. Well, we can't really have that either, though. We can't really have that. And not for nothing, but the Arsenal match, I mean, you're going to try hard. I don't understand that mentality from the players. You're going to try hard, and then you're going to walk away from the Arsenal match and say it didn't work. Listen, the players, you didn't make it work. We had 22 fucking shots. Why don't you put in some better service? Why don't you actually put the goal into the back of the net? Why does the goalkeeper come out and punch the ball like a fairy or miss the ball or whatever the fuck he did, right? That's that's where I start to get pissed and I start to get angry because it's like you're gonna walk out of that match and you're gonna say it doesn't work after as a player, as a goalkeeper, you fucked up, and then as players on the pitch, you created 24 chances. You're the ones that can't fucking cross the ball to your teammate. You're the one that chooses to pass the ball to your buddy instead of the guy that's in the better position. Why? That's where I start to get angry because it's like I don't accept players fucking throwing managers under the buses and saying this shit doesn't work when you're also culpable and responsible. You are part of it. I don't like that shit. Official RJB says Amorim is too stubborn and won't change what everyone is screaming to change, which is Bruno in the mid, but even with another manager, the culture and mentality of the club would remain, so we are fucked. I think it's a very real and good point, man. Because I think these people that ask that think, listen, we would have to hit an app. I'm trying to put this in a way where it's cohesive. I think the people that keep thinking that changing a manager is going to lead us back to the promised land because it's all one guy's fault or it's all one player's fault. I think what we need, because of what RJB said, the mentality of the club and the culture would be fucked. So, and I think he's right because to a certain extent, essentially what we need is we need some sort of a savior. What this football club actually needs, probably, and I hate to do this because I hate this comparison and I hate to keep doing this sort of thing because I think it's so cliche and I think it's so overused. But we essentially, what's happening is we need another Ferguson somehow, some way. And I don't think you're going to get one. And I don't even think there's one out there. I don't think there is a guy that's going to walk into Manchester United and he is going to be able to, he's going to play his style, he's going to play his formation, it's going to work in the Prem, and then on top of that, somebody that is strong enough and smart enough to change the culture and the mentality of the club. Because that's what Fergie did, yeah? And I don't see that a lot in today's game. I don't somebody's going to throw out some names. I can't tell you concretely that guy is the guy. I don't see one manager in the list that's in my head that I'd be like, if he comes in, that guy will change the culture, that guy will change the club. He has the character and he's done it before or some shit. So essentially, we got to hit some sort of a jackpot with a manager at some point that somehow it goes well to be able to do something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Let me get to the other updates though, because we've had a very good discussion. We're about an hour and 45 minutes. I'm not doing a 3-hour live stream today, but let's get back to the updates. And then we'll go back into discussion to finish out the show. But the last thing we mentioned about the updates that have come out about Ruben and the hierarchy and the players, and we got to get to the juicy stuff. Because there's some more juicy stuff. But the last thing that I said is that Ruben Amorim retained the backing of the board, who remain of the view that he is the man to turn the club's fortunes around. The view is that progress is being made. The impact of injuries to key players such as Cunha and Mount has also been noted. I disagree with that last part. I mean, they can hold and retain whatever, viewpoint is theirs. They're just letting us know what it is, and they're setting the narrative straight that they're not looking to sack him, which I think is not that I'm not saying it's good that they're not looking to sack him. I'm saying it's good that they're setting the narrative straight. I appreciate that because in the past we don't hear anything come out of the club and the media gets to run wild and cause all sorts of havoc in the fan base even more than there already is. I disagree with that last thing about the impacts of injuries to key players. We literally lost them in Burnley. We went on a fucking 2-week international break and we played one match. I'm not accepting Cunha and Mount not being available for one match as an excuse as to why we played like absolute shit yesterday. It's not, you know, it's just pure PR bullshit. Um Simon Stone has come out and said Manchester United officials have repeatedly stressed they regard Ruben's appointment as a long-term project, and nothing communicated in the aftermath of Sunday's loss is at odds with that. And this is what I'm trying to say. So this is the impasse where we are. This is the impasse of where we are. The fans are talking about, well, what about now? And Ineos have always been talking about this long-term project. But what happens what happens if we finish 10th this season? That isn't that going to have an impact on the long-term project? Doesn't that set up the long-term project to fail? Doesn't it make it way harder for the long-term project to actually bear any fruit if we can't compete right now? If we can't be competitive now and win matches and set ourselves up for a good position. We're not supposed to win the league this season, but we're supposed to make forward progress. We're supposed to be building on something so that next season we can build further, and then the next season after that we can build further. But you're talking about a long-term project, and they talk about this long-term project like they're not looking at the current state, man. Because it's fine to have a long-term project, but if the current state shits the bed, the long-term project is fucked. And I think this is where the divide is coming in now, because Ineos and this information that's coming out, they keep talking about this long-term project, but the fans are asking the question, but what about now? What are we going to do now? What are we going to do right now? Because we are in a season and we are not heading in a good direction, and there's going to be consequences of not having another good season, just like there was consequences of not winning the Europa League last season. And we're not getting any answers for that. We're getting the manager saying that he's not changing his way, and we're getting the hierarchy or the football club pushing out briefs talking about the long-term project. But what about now? What are we doing now? Because we're fucked. Essentially, the long-term project will be fucked if we finish 14th this season. What long-term project? Because how are you going to get to the goal of the long-term project if we're finishing 14th? We're going backwards. That's not going forward. Forward is maybe we finish 8th, maybe we finish 7th, because last season was so shit and we started anew, yeah? So you finish 8th, you finish 7th, maybe 6th or some shit, and you say, all right, it's not what we want, right? But it's something. Let's go to next season and let's see what happens. But the way we're going right now in the first couple matches, if you keep this sort of form up and you get to 10 matches, we're going to be in a we're going to be where we are right now, like 14th. And the gap's going to become even bigger. So, yeah, we did that update about Ruben, potentially Benfica looking to get him. Maybe that comes into play later on. Disco Murr gave us an update saying Amorim's rigid 3-4-3 formation and his refusal to adapt to any other setup is said to have caused huge concern among key members of the squad, which is the players. Some United players are said to feel Amorim is undermining them by repeatedly asking them to fit into a system they are not equipped to play. Well, here we are again, and this is what I'm talking about. This is the deja vu. This is the merry-go-round. Here we are again. We are here again with a different group of players and a different manager, and this is the 4th time this is happening, when the players don't feel comfortable, they're upset, they don't like the formation or the tactics that the manager is trying to get them to play. And basically, there is a divide between the players and the manager on how they're playing. And this is the fourth or fifth time with four different groups of players and four different managers. And every time, at some point, at some season, we get an update that says the players have concerns and they feel undermined, or whatever you want to change the word to, that, about the system or the style of play, and they don't want to play a three back, they want to play a 4-2-3-1. And it's like, why is our football club the only football club that has this fucking problem? I don't understand. I don't hear or see news. I don't hear Liverpool fans or Arsenal fans talking about their players not wanting to play a 4-3-3, or not wanting to play a 4-2-3-1, or they'd rather play a 4-4-2. I don't hear this shit. Why is it only our football club? Why is it our football club? And you can't just say it's Amorim's fault, because it's happened to four managers. So what is going on that this keeps repeating? Because supposedly we changed shit. Supposedly we restructured shit. Supposedly we're supposed to change the culture. Supposedly we're supposed to build a better mentality and all that shit. Yeah. So how can this problem keep reoccurring and rehappening 4 different times? It's not a coincidence. It's not solely down to one man. There's something seriously wrong. I don't need any more proof, and I don't need any more evidence. I don't need to work for Manchester United. I don't need to be behind the scenes to tell you that there is something obviously clearly severely wrong, because how can it keep reoccurring through 4 different teams and 4 different managers? It doesn't make sense. Other than the fact that there is something severely wrong. I don't know what the actual issue is, but something is wrong for this to keep happening. One of the other updates that we got is Manchester United are backing Ruben Amorim for now, but players are losing confidence in his system amid a growing crisis at Old Trafford. I think that's a little bit normal if you're not winning matches and things aren't going well. I get that. He retains the support of the club's hierarchy, but he is in danger of losing a section of the dressing room over his refusal to compromise. I think that that's actually a true update, because I think that's one that, yeah, that tends to quietly happen. I mean, if you're not getting results, you're losing, confidence is going to be low, doubts are going to creep in. Also, I assume in today's age, with social media and all that other stuff, I mean, the players are going to get pelters. The players are going to get pretty much attacked for shit performances, and some of these players are probably going to feel aggrieved, because they're going to be like, I can play better, I just don't want to play this fucking shit formation, or whatever their thoughts are about it. You know what I mean? So I get that, and that's why he still can change the conversation if he can somehow pull off results in the next, I would say, the next 3 matches, immediate matches, Chelsea and whoever else we're playing after that. If he could pull off results, he can shift the narrative back away from what's going on right now. And maybe he'll keep some of the players on his side. But if we go in the next 3 matches and he loses all 3, it's just going to snowball more on top of what's happening right now. So, but listen, he's on thin ice, right? Nobody's saying he's not. He's on thin ice. We all know it. So, Chris Wheeler also giving us an update saying the players are struggling to get to grips with Amorim's style almost 11 months after he took over, and even one of his staunchest allies, Captain Bruno Fernandes, is believed to be unhappy operating in a deeper midfield role. United sources say it would be wrong to suggest that Amorim has lost a dressing room, and insists he still has support among the squad. I think he still has support amongst the squad, but I don't think this is actually like maybe Mourinho, where the players revolted and went behind his back, because I don't think the players can go behind his back. I don't think they can go over his head. And also, I think if Ineos are doing their job properly, keeping it in-house, I think they should make it very clear to the players that we are backing him, and if So don't even think about downing tools or some shit because it's not going to get him the sack. I think they have to make that illusion. I think they have to try and convince them as much as possible. I don't know how that goes about necessarily behind the scenes, but there's obviously things that you can do to make it very clear to the players that, hey, just if you think that you're going to go on the pitch and you're going to play shit for the next 3 matches and you're going to get him sacked, even if it's a lie, they got to make him believe it. Because you gotta kind of hold and you gotta hold that you gotta try and hold it together. But if this is true, I mean, I don't know how you get this information, Chris Wheeler. Bruno Fernandes is believed to be unhappy operating in the deeper midfield role. I would like to know how you know that. I'd like to know the sources. Clearly, it's got to be, if it's true, it's got to be somebody, you know, inside the club or an agent or some shit like that. But I don't know. I don't know if it's PR, man, for Bruno. I don't know if that's Bruno PR. Basically trying to put it out there like, yo, listen, guys, Bruno is on your side. Bruno doesn't want to play there either. He doesn't want to play there. Well, I'll tell you this, though. I'm sure when Bruno sat down with Ruben or talked to Ruben and he talked to the club when that Saudi Arabia offer was on the table, yeah? And we bought Cunha and we were literally going in for Mbeumo. I'm sure that Bruno knew already that I'm pretty sure Ruben outlined his idea for what he was going to do with Bruno. Because maybe Bruno was a bit concerned seeing that Cunha's coming in and Mbuemo's coming in. I mean, Bruno's like, maybe I leave. And I think that's why they entertained the offer. They were like, let's see what we get. Let's see the offer. Let's see the money. And also, you know what? The club is pushing for 210s. Like, where the fuck am I going to play? Or, you know, what is the dynamic going to be like? I'm sure Amorim probably, when he told them, I want you to stay, I'm going to play you as a 6. So he knew about it and he accepted it. If he didn't really want to play in the deeper midfield role, I think he would have just went to Saudi Arabia. I think he would have just been more likely to go and be like, you know what? Let me take the money and let me go because I don't want to play in the 6 and I'm not going to be happy there. And this is Ruben's idea for me, you know. And you could have probably gave him an ultimatum as well and be like, no, I want to play 10 or I'm going to leave. But I guess he accepted it. So, Wayne Rooney on Ruben Amorim's Manchester United said, nearly a year on, and it's less than 1 point a game. That's relegation form. We can't even see a pattern of play. I mean, I disagree with the pattern of play thing. I think it's quite obvious what the team is supposed to do. If he's saying we can't see a pattern of play in terms of it's not being executed, then okay, I agree with you, Rooney. But if you're saying that like you don't see, like you don't know what the play is supposed to be, then I maybe that's why, you know, you're not doing well in managing. I don't know what to tell you because I know what the team is supposed to do. I know how they're supposed to play. They're not doing it, and it's not happening. So I don't know which way he meant by it, but if he meant by it's just not materializing, then fair play because it's not. Ben Jacobs update: Sir Jim Ratcliffe feels the squad is good enough to qualify for the Champions League this season, and that Amorim's job security will be more seriously discussed if the side is not on course for European football as the season progresses. Senior figures at Manchester United feel enough progress is being made or potential shown to not yet start exploring other candidates. So again, I mean, I think this is the most logical, and this is probably the most realistic way this is gonna go. It's still very early, and they're whether you like it or not, they're gonna give him the opportunity. And some people are gonna say it's a mistake, and maybe it is a mistake. Maybe you should cut your losses now and switch direction because many people think it's not gonna work, it's gonna fail. The writing's on the wall, it's done, and it's over. Fair play. But from their standpoint, they're just gonna give him more time because it's 4 matches in. So they're gonna let it play out. And I would say, I mean, I don't know. Depends how things go. Could be the end of this month, could be October, could be November he gets sacked. maybe he doesn't get sacked. Maybe it turns around and he makes it to where he's got to go. But Lucky says Ineos aim at moment 9 Europe football. Well, this update from Ben Jacobs doesn't say that, Lucky. This update from Ben Jacobs, which was 2 hours ago, says Sir Jim Ratcliffe feels the squad is good enough to qualify for the Champions League this season. That means top 5, or you win the FA Cup. They're not. Uh, according to this brief, they don't want Europa. They want European football, but they're saying Sir Jim feels this team is good enough to qualify for the Champions League. Well, that's top 4, top 5, or that's winning the FA Cup. So I don't think they will accept ninth. I mean, I think that if he's in and around there, I think he'll stay till the end of the season with ninth. But then maybe they look to get rid of him after that. Sully Talks said figures with Manchester United believe Ruben Amorim's refusal to change and his stubbornness will get him sacked. One source says he's had one foot out the door this season and has made it clear today he will not change his system. Well, but we know this. We know this. And I've been arguing for this. And actually, I'm okay with this. Again, I don't think it makes sense to get a guy that doesn't play. We knew what he was. We took the opportunity. We took the chance on it. You knew what you were getting into when you hired him. So either make your bed with it or cut your losses and go in a different direction. You knew he was a young guy. You knew he was inexperienced. You knew he had one style of play and one system. He made that quite clear to them when they had talks before he signed, and they went with that. And what I don't want to see, because I don't think it'll work. The reason why I'm saying I don't want to see it, because people say he needs to play a 4-3-3. Now, for what we have in personnel, I think a 4-3-3 will work well with the players that we have and the squad that we have, right? I'm not disagreeing with that. What I'm saying is he doesn't have a plan for a 4-3-3. He doesn't know how to operate with a 4-3-3. So him using a 4-3-3 is fucking pointless because when he lines up a 4-3-3, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think we're going to see any real difference. And actually, it's essentially him operating in more quicksand than he already is in, because he's going to have to figure out and essentially teach himself and make a plan and create like a whole game plan around that. And it's not going to be perfect because that takes time. You got to tinker and adjust over time, and he's in the midst of the season. I don't think it's him showing up to Chelsea on the weekend and playing a 4-3-3. I don't think it's going to lead to any other difference. In fact, it probably might make things worse because you're going in a different direction. The players got to change. He's got to change. I don't think it's going to lead to any success. So I've always said, go down with the ship, man. For me, it's either you figure it out or you don't. You want to stick to your laurels, stick with your system. That's fine. I think he can help himself by making some individual player changes. Like not playing Bruno as a 6 and maybe putting in Lamens in goal and switching a couple players around. You want to stay with the 3-4-3? I have no problem with that. You either figure it out or you don't. You either figure it out or don't. And that's all that is. Let me just check for any other updates. Fabrizio Romano came out an hour ago. There was a possibility of Ugarte leaving Manchester United last summer, with Italian clubs expressing interest in a loan deal, but United decided to keep him. All right. I mean, I don't know why that's relevant now, but cool. Cool. Let me just see. Just checking. Checking some news. Any other updates we didn't cover? Manuel Ugarte did the stubbornness. Bruno Fernandez is unhappy playing in a deeper midfield role. I don't know if that's PR or maybe it's true. I mean, he certainly played like he was unhappy playing in that role yesterday because barely fucking. I mean, he wasn't. He didn't do anything besides play like shit um and fuck up. So um Owen Hargreaves said, how Kobe Mainoo doesn't play in this team, I'll never know. He came on for the game against Man City, and in half hour, he was probably their best player by a country mile. I don't know. I don't know about best player, because I think Mbuemo probably was the best player for the whole game. But I mean, he came on, and he was better than whatever we had going on in the midfield, and he did very good. And yeah, I think I don't really get it. Again, I think he's struggling with the complex of, if you look at certain areas on the pitch, let's put it this way. We go Lemons, he's unproven, he's young, he just came from Belgium, he's gonna go in goal. Yeah. Then in the back line, right? He's playing Luke Shaw there, because Luke Shaw is old and he's left footed and he's experienced. Right? We don't have Lisandro yet. So we can't go with Lisandro, and there's Harry. But Harry's right footed, he's not left footed. Um, I don't think what he wants to do is, I don't think he wants a back line of Euro, Elite, and Heaven, because Euro and Heaven are younger guys, they're less experienced. Then you have Dorgu, left back, younger guy, less experienced, hasn't even been here for a year yet. And then on the right side, you would have somebody more experienced, like Delo or Maz or even Diallo, who's been here for a few years now. And then in the midfield, you got, there's Bruno Cass, Ugarte, and Mainoo. Mainoo is younger, less experienced than the other guys, but he came through the youth system and plays English football. Bruno has been here for numerous amounts of years and has been the most impactful post Fergie. So he has the experience. Casemiro is a serial winner, won everything at Real Madrid, and he's been here for a couple of years at United, so he's got the experience. And Ugarte, this is going to be his second season, so he's experienced in terms of age and amount of football he's played, but he's less experienced at United. And this is why I think you're seeing Mainoo not starting, and I think why you're seeing Ugarte not really starting, except for yesterday. But the other games, the other matches, he's gone with Bruno and he's gone with Casemiro, because they are the two most experienced players. So he's going for the experience. Then even in the other matches, you see, like he's playing Cunha, he's playing Mbuemo, he's playing Mount, and he was hesitant to even, as soon as he got Sesko, he was hesitant to start him, and he was instead putting Cunha in the 10. He's clearly going for experience, because I think he's worried about the young players. I think he's actually worried. I think he's worried to take a gamble on the younger guys, because there's always the worry of the inconsistency, because you don't know what you're going to get from them. You don't know, they can have a 10 out of 10 game, they could have 10 out of 10 games, and they could play 8 matches in a row where they're just completely out of their depth. But I think it's a mistake. I think he needs to go for what's best and not focus so much on the experience. And I think he needs to just, some of these guys and some of these things, I think you need to get Mainoo in that midfield. He might not be the ready-made guy, but I think you got to get him in there, because I think he'll perform better than whatever you're doing right now. I think Lemons, you got to get him in there, because I actually don't know about Lemons, but I'd like to see Lemons have a go, because I know being there isn't it. I don't, Luke Shaw is Luke Shaw. He's been getting away with so many things for years. Injuries, excuses, and stuff like that. And he hasn't been playing great there. And I'd rather actually just see Heaven play instead of Luke Shaw in that position. or if you want to go experience, go back to Maz playing center back or something. Um, so yeah, a couple of the quotes that I missed that I don't care about that. Well, Ruben said this directly yesterday, and people are saying 4-3-3. And Ruben said this yesterday. He said the problem is not the system. He said you saw Manchester United play with a different system. Most of the time, it was a 4-3-3, and it was more or less the same result. I'll try to do my best according to my vision of the game. I don't see the system like you do, so I'll try to do my job. I mean, I get what he's trying to say, but his argument falls a little bit flat in the fact that I think he lost it when he said it was more or less the same result. I think if he was being a little bit more clear, if he said it was more or less the same result, meaning that it hasn't led to any, it hasn't led to any great success. It hasn't led to any real sustainability. It's been all pretty mediocre. But I mean, it's hard for you to argue, Rube, that it was more or less the same result when you have a 25% win rate. And we can't even win two matches in a row because right now you are the worst out of everybody. You know what I mean? So you can't really say that because it just doesn't check, man. It doesn't check. You can hold out and say the problem is not the system. Um, but the line where you say it was more or less the same result, it wasn't more or same less result in when you break it down because we were getting more points, and we were winning more matches, and we were able to actually win two matches back to back or three matches back to back, um, which we're not able to do right now. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's just we got to see, I guess, what happens. I mean, we got the match coming up on the weekend. Gonna be a big one. Listen, Chelsea are up there, and Chelsea are winning matches, but Chelsea aren't. Chelsea are a bit like City. I think they're not 100%. They're not like a steam train. They're not 100% rolling. They're not going crazy. There are weaknesses in their game. Um, I've seen some of their matches. They can be exposed. There is a way to beat them. I don't think it's like such a big gulf, but I mean, if we turn up and play like we did against City, then we're obviously going to get beat. So we're going to have to step it up. But I don't think Chelsea is not an absolute powerhouse right now. There are there are holes in their game. There are some things that they're doing, like they are letting up some goals, and they're not. It's not like they're scoring three, 4 goals a match either. So we can make it a very tight game. We can make it a very close game. We could even nick it if we actually do what we need to do. But we need to actually show up. Yeah. We actually need to be prepared. We actually need to be ready. And then we actually have to go out there and fight and do what we need to do. Um, I don't know if that's going to happen, but um, Ray, I missed a couple of the chats. Um, Axe has left us. Official RJB said, I love Bruno, and in the 10, he is one of the league's best creators, but as a captain, he is no good. We need a leader on the field to lead the lines, but there's multiple other issues that need addressing also. Well, yeah, I mean, I like Bruno too, and in the 10, and I think he's been really, really the most impactful player that we've had post Fergie. Um, you know what? Maybe his leadership isn't good. I always had, I mean, I don't know what he's like, you know, kind of behind the scenes and stuff. I never really had a problem with the whole throwing of the arms. I'm that type of person that if I was there, I'd be like, that's just part of who he is. I guess it's how he handles the other situations. You know what? Maybe we do need, maybe his leadership isn't all that much. Um, or maybe it's just not captain material. Maybe it's not that high of the level that you actually needed to. But the thing is, official RJB, we're not gonna get that change unless Ruben goes, because he's not gonna do it. And then there's no guarantee the next manager would do it either, because they might keep him as a captain. Even in the short term, if Ruben is to go at some point this season and we get somebody else in, they might just keep him the captain until the end of the season, and maybe they switch it. Maybe they don't. Maybe they keep him captain as well. Maybe he ends up going in the summer, and then that problem gets solved itself. So, um, Ineos aim. Lucky says Ineos aim right 9 or 8. They got to go higher. They got to go higher. We can't take ninth. It's got to be sixth and up. Ray says Bruno is the problem. Official RJB, no, he isn't our best player being played out of position in the 10. He's one of the league's best. Without him last year, there's every chance we get relegated. It depends. It depends. You can play that side both ways. If you don't have Bruno, but you have the money for Bruno and you spend that money decently well, maybe the team shapes better and maybe we don't get relegated. But I mean, does have he does he is highly involved throughout the season in terms of goals and assists, and those have the big impacts of getting points and winning matches, because you need to score to win. And if you're getting goals and assists, you're aiding in getting the points. So I think you can make an argument for both sides. Lucky says, Eric, next game, relax. Hayden Heaven can play. Mateus Delit Euro can go fullback. Amad Diallo maybe wingback or Mbuemo. Yeah, it's all maybe, but he's got to do it. Kobe Manu can play. Bruno Fernandez, I mean, he can, but I don't think it's going to happen. And with the way he is, you know what I mean? With the way he is, I don't think it's going to happen. So, um, if I pronounce your name wrong, I apologize. It's either Lukonge or Lukonje. Abu Bakar says Sesko, he is really good striker, but the team doesn't have a midfielder who creates through passes for Sesko. That's why he can't score goals. I I just think I think it's the team in general, buddy. I do. I think it's the team in general, man. I get it, the whole midfield thing, but at some point, if you have a left wing back that can't cross the ball when there's one defender on him and he's kicking the ball over his head or he's kicking the ball short, that has nothing to do with the midfielder. If you have a right wing back that's doing the same thing, has nothing to do with the midfielder. If you have Mbuemo not being able to cross the ball into the box, he's a 10. It's not even a midfield to do the through ball. If you have the other 10 not being able to do it, that's also another problem. Then you can go to the midfield and the midfield does the same thing. I generally, maybe you would say, yeah, the midfielder to create a through ball would on a higher rate, but generally, just in general, at a basic level, you're telling me we don't have one player on the pitch that can put in a simple ball, a simple pass, make the correct decision in that when he's making a run, instead of giving it to somebody else, give it to him when he's in the good position. I mean, Dorgu's crossing is terrible, and I I would rewatch the match if we didn't lose 3-0, but I don't have to rewatch it because I have mental pictures of it because I remember it pissed me off. But there must have been at least 15 crosses yesterday. 15 crosses yesterday. And they were all shit. They were all shit. Short, over his head, floated to the back post when nobody is there. Hitting the guy in front of them. They were all shit. We didn't connect. You can't tell me we have a bunch of players, professionals on the pitch, and they can't put in one cross. Not one person can put in one good cross. Not a single person. To me, that has nothing to do with the midfield at that point. He's 6'2". The guy can jump the height of the crossbar. His knees would be at crossbar height. And you're telling me you can't put in one cross in a decent position for the guy to get to his head to it? You know, it's not just the midfield. It's the whole thing is cooked. Yeah, official RGB says, good night, brother, praying for better days for our club. Well, good night, brother. Thank you for getting involved, and I hope you subscribed, and I hope you come back. We could use more people like you in the community. Yeah, you made some good points, man. So it was a pleasure to have you here, and it's good to meet you, my friend. So I hope to see you back so we could talk. And yeah, we'll see. We're going to do a couple more shows during the week, obviously, until we get to the match, and we'll do a Red Devil recap. So I hope you pop back in between that time and stuff like that. Lucky says, Eric, West Ham, 0 goals. Give him one more half ball. He wants me. It happened in Amad Diallo, Patrick Dor. So someone can make something happen. I mean, they got to do. Everybody's got to step up now because they got to do a better job. You know what I mean? So, but yeah. Listen, guys, we've come to the end of the show. It was a very, very good show. Thank you to all the people that smashed the like button. Again, it's a massive help to the channel. So if you did that, I think we got about 18 likes today. So it's very, very good. Thank you for the support. Shout out to all the people getting involved in the chat. You guys make the show. So without you guys, I would just be some bumbling fool talking to myself. So you guys are important. Shout out to everybody shout out to all the other ones that don't get involved in the chat as well. You guys still help along and support the channel with your views. And you know, just shout out listening in the background. You know, so yeah, thank you guys. Thank you to everybody. Appreciate every single one of you. We're going to Lucky is the top fan right now, by the way. I don't know how you get this XP, but Lucky is number 1. I think it's by comments. I actually have no clue. But Lucky is number 1. Box is number 2. Ray is number 3 with 100 XP. Silver Pinecone, 75 XP in 4th place. Official RJB, 5th place with 75 XP. Rajat in 6th place with 75 XP. I think this is specifically for this show. Axelord, 7th place with 75 XP. Chad in 8th place with 75 XP. We got like a 10-way tie for what is this? From 4th place to 10th place, everybody's got 75 XP. Johnny Hill, 75 XP. Stephanie, 75 XP. Andresito, with 50 XP. Lukonge, 25 XP, 12th place. Shout out to these guys. Baz is there. Andrew Morgan, United Qua Ground. Race, Kiko Santos. That's all I can see on here. Shout out to all you guys, top fans. You are in the top fan section. You got 17 of you guys. Shout out to the top fans. Shout out to all the regular fans as well. Salute you. I appreciate it, Lucky. Yeah, and we'll speak. I wish, you know, I don't know how to make it a schedule. I need to make a better schedule so that you guys aren't like guessing when I'm gonna go live. But it's very hard because I feel the need to stream every day because there's news every day, and I feel like it's weird if we just do like a set day where it's like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. because there might be news Tuesday and there might not be any news Wednesday. And you know, this world is very fast paced, and people talk about the stuff on Tuesday and they don't give a shit about it anymore on Wednesday. So yeah, we'll see. I think I'll be looking. I don't know. This is why you guys need to get in the Discord, because the Discord I can let you guys know, hey, I'm gonna do a show. That way you know. So I'll drop a link for the Discord after I end this live stream. I'll put it in the comments section underneath the video. It's also in the bio of the channel. So if you want to just go into the channel bio, there should be a link for the Discord. I encourage you guys to drop in there. If you're not in there, get in the Discord. It's just way better for right now until we can I come up with some sort of a better schedule, a concrete actual schedule. So shout out. I feel like I want to do a stream tomorrow. I'm gonna look to do one. So keep a lookout for it. Around the same time, 8 p.m. Yeah, 8 p.m. UK time, around that time. If you don't see one by 8:30 p.m. UK time, then we're not going to do one. Obviously, I'll just I update everybody in the Discord, so if you're in the Discord, you'll know if we're doing one or not. But I plan on doing one right now at the moment, but we'll see how it goes tomorrow and how I feel about it. But yeah, that's my plan. So shout out to all of you. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night, good evening, good morning, or whatever, wherever you're watching from. Shout out to all of you. If you made it to this part, you're legends. And also, if you're watching it and it's not live and you made it to this part, shout out to you. Get involved in the comments after I end the show as well. Drop your thoughts and opinions. YouTube likes that stuff, and we also like to hear from you. So shout out to everybody. Good night. We'll see you later. Enjoy yourselves and stay safe.